Well, hello and welcome. I'm Matt Bowes, Vice President of the Book Publishers Association of Alberta, and thank you very much for coming out in person to the 2022 Alberta Book Publishing Awards Gala. Isn't it? It's nice to be in person, right? Yeah. All right. So before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional homeland of the many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people whose elders have walked this land before us and with whom we share this great land today. We're grateful to work and live upon this territory together and for the means to learn from all of the traditional peoples of these lands. It's our commitment to continue to work together to build strong and positive relationships and to consider how we can bring our resources and talents within the book industry to the important work at hand during this era of reconciliation. So, since 1989, the Alberta Book Publishing Awards have recognized and celebrated the exceptional work being done by Alberta book publishers. This year, we're also excited to return to being in person again. So, isn't this nice? Yeah. The virtual version of the awards were certainly unique, but it's nice to be in person again. So our host this evening is Judy Piercy, the former Managing Director of CBC Edmonton, and now an author herself, whose first book is coming out in February. The Fierce, the Untold Story of the Teenager Who Took on the Worst War Criminal Living in America. It's being published by the History Press in the UK. So congratulations, Judy, and welcome.
Well, I think it's great to be live. We were justifiably proud of the virtual gala awards that we taped. I'm not going to use that P word that Kieran hates so much, but it was a new way of doing things. And the production that everybody saw was quite flawless. However, behind the scenes, it was not flawless. It was unique. And it was actually, it was one of these things where, you're not necessarily comfortable being on camera. And then, so you start in your lines and, maybe somebody slams a door, or suddenly everybody's going home for the day and there are all kinds of doors slamming. Or maybe there's a train rumbling underneath the library in Calgary. Or maybe, maybe all kinds of things are happening that were quite stressful for most of us. So today I was looking around the room and thinking how great it is to see everybody again. And I was thinking back to my own discomfort on camera when I first became a reporter with CBC. And I was actually quite terrified to be on camera. And every time I'd have to do it, I'd freeze up and everything. And a producer said to me, don't look at that lens and see a lens. Look at it and see the face of someone you care about and who cares about you. And so I looked around today and I thought, wow, we're not talking to a lens anymore. We're actually here in this room. And I think one thing that I observe in working with this group is that you really care about each other. So it is wonderful to be live. And thank you for having me. And one of my favorite parts of emceeing this gala is that first meeting that I have with your staff early in the summer. And Francis referred earlier to the amount of lead time that goes into planning, and that is true. It's the same for the gala. A lot of lead time goes into it. So we always start our meeting. I always ask Kieran, Patricia, and Megan to give me the highlights of BPAA's accomplishments this year. And every year I'm blown away by how much you do, and not just the quantity, which is actually pretty impressive in itself, but the quality of what you do to enrich the life of Albertans. And this year, what stood out for me was Alberta Books for Schools. And as I perused the website and then later looked at the catalog, I was just blown away by the wide range of diverse books that you publish. I think Alberta students and teachers are so fortunate to have access to such a rich resource, and the entire province benefits from your vibrancy and your advocacy. So I know how much work it takes to get a project like that off the ground. Congratulations, and thank you for inviting me to celebrate your success with you. I'm honored and proud to be here. So tonight, we'll be recognizing excellence in Alberta book publishing with several genre Book of the Year awards. We have Excellence in Design awards, as well as presenting an Emerging Publisher of the Year award and a Lifetime Achievement in Alberta Publishing award. And we thank all of our nominees for taking the time and effort to showcase their best work and raise the bar for Alberta publishing. Now, also included in our awards program tonight will be performances by Wakefield Brewster, Calgary's Poet Laureate, and Nisha Patel, an award-winning spoken word poet and artist. So please join me now in welcoming Wakefield Brewster to the stage for the first of his 2 poetry performances.
Good evening. How's my volume? Y'all? Thank you so very much for having me. I am elated, flattered, grateful, and honored to be a very small part of this big celebration. It's live. Give it up to live again. It's nice to be in the room with you all again. I can't tell you how, well, I'm overwhelmed, not just being part of this ceremony this evening, but being the 6th Poet Laureate of Calgary, Alberta, and being the first Black Poet Laureate of Calgary, Alberta. It really is. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, and I really hope there's a lot, for those of you who may have heard of me but haven't heard me, I hope there's a lot. And for those of you who may be familiar with me, I'm going to present a poem that reintroduces me to you and introduces myself to those who are new to me. This poem is about who I am in this world, how I look in this world, what I do in this world, and how I communicate with the reality of my surroundings. This poem is titled Blacklit. Oh, thanks. I swallow some blackboard paint so I can paint the word. Ain't a word, spit in ink or chalk, I still talk. A fax machine paradox, proper truth stopper. Can't stop me or mock me. European MCs can't top me. When a brother gets a hold of technology, it's microphone recology. Dealing with your lame footin' can't step up pathology. I offer no apology for bovine or swine, domesticated equine, for mankind, my own mind, up and mixed artistic with linguistic, and I slung a hot rock like Basquiat when he brought the black thought. Bleeding paint upon paper, he changed and then deranged the sight of man, the earth raper. He closed the eye caper, and some years later, since my brother's life broke, I realize I am a smudge, a perfect brushstroke. With pretty colors. I am orange and yellow and red. I surprised myself when poetically bled myself. I was tongue twisted up like a dread, with thoughts that rot sticking up in my head, thrust back to life like Lazarus. Stripe had me, strike me a hazardous pose, wide open with wrists and neck exposed. Liquid life trickling eclectic flows from my veins. Purifier, voodoo rains, funeral pyre. My heated aspiration to be an element, not simply elemental or even instrumental, but a song and a symphony with self-pity, sympathy. I'm conducting those in the first row who think they know. I make them all play second fiddle if they don't jump out the middle and flee like they were escaping the passage. Feces and vomit on the slavery comet founded inspiration in black and broken bones. The sounds of the lands that we call our homes, and we can all hear it drum to its timbre like whips to cracks, licks to backs, feet to axe. Funny how we stood taller when we lost our toes and held our heads high in a regal manner, defying the yokes, learning the language to create great stains. Kings and queens now bound in chains and walking like gods, unlike the ghosts of our gracious hosts, now passed on to the land of duppies, weighted down by the shackles of brutality that they constructed. Inside the halls of shame, each one has been inducted. Back to the books, back to the beginning, back to the future, what we were and what we are. Back in the black, hiding in the back row. Back in the black like these cats don't know. Black like my namesake, black like death row. Black like rum cake, black like afro. Black like my Taekwondo brothers Afro Dojo. Because you can't wake a blank slate. Because I'm the willing, you can't shift my shape. I'm taking your shots like I'm in the Russian system. Off the shoulder, wrist strike to the throat. I'm a diss 'em, and I'm a talk louder, and I'm a walk prouder. I'm leading by design because this hour is mine. I leave you with the fever and your lip catch a slack from the Anosha Bashobi and Galozi of rap. This here is the evolution, amoeba to man, grunts to grill, slavery to bravery, cryptic like messages written on rice, rolled up in papers and burned like a foremothers at the stake, hung like a forefathers dancing from trees, a painful slow waltz done in black and broken knees. Please, 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 help me find the method. I talk so much that my teeth itch and my hair hurts. Lyrical spurts. I try and I try and I try. You say you want a sensitive man and then you hate me when I cry. I gotta internalize and re-energize and represent because you know my words quick, clever, could never be spent. And in this industry, no poetry, mediocrity can mess with me. Though it's not all I'll be. In this here reality, I'm a flow it cause you'll know it. Black is poetry. See?
So to kick off our award presentations, I would like to welcome Aisha Clough of Red Barn Books to come up and present the Learning Book of the Year Award.
The Learning Book of the Year Award goes to a book or instruction package for the K-12 post-secondary or professional market that has a specific learning, instructional, or professional development focus. The nominees are Brush Education, Dying in Good Hands, Palliative Massage and the Power of Touch by Christine Sutherland. University of Alberta Press, Ethics for the Practice of Psychology in Canada, 3rd edition, by Derek Truscott and Kenneth H. Crook. Brush Education, Introduction to Early Childhood Education and Care, an Intercultural Perspective by Carol Massing and Mary Lynn Matheson. The winning title is an excellent textbook that puts norms aside in favor of a more effective, culturally diverse approach. With excellent editorial content and strong execution, this book incorporates a wide variety of perspectives and effectively addresses the needs of the target audience. The references do not disrupt the main text, and the prompts throughout allow for frequent reflection on the part of the reader. Published by Brush Education, the Learning Book of the Year is Introduction to Early Childhood Education and Care by Carol Massing and Mary Lynn Matheson. Congratulations.
Thank you. Fantastic. We're so happy. Most of you, well, some of you know me and some of you don't, but I recently joined Brush Education, but I've been working as a freelancer with them for a number of years, and I've been asked to accept this award because I worked on this book, hooray! And I wrote some notes on the back of my name tag. So just like to thank the authors, of course. They were wonderful to work with. They're wonderful. A couple of experts in this topic, Carol Massing and Mary Lynn Matheson, who are also local, just around the corner from our offices in Edmonton, which was also just so special to publish somebody so local. You can all relate to the fact that we're a small publishing team, so thanks to the whole team for all of that great work. Huge team effort. Thanks to the association and the jurors for putting on this event and putting all of the work into that. We'd also like to just say we recently, on the way over to this conference, got a huge order for this book. For an educational conference, 2,500 copies they ordered after we'd send it to them just hoping to get some publicity. So that was a really great recognition, and thanks to Friesens for helping us fulfill that order on really quick notice. And finally, just thanks to all of the gala sponsors and to Megan, who I know put a lot of work into all of this. So, yeah.
Our next award is the Douglas Barber Award for Speculative Fiction. Douglas Barber was a tireless supporter of the science fiction and fantasy scene of Alberta book publishing for over half a century, and this award was renamed in his honor last year. Douglas brought his extensive experience to the speculative fiction jury for many years, so it is wonderful to be able to recognize his contributions with this award. And presenting the award is Tom Lohr from Brush Education.
The Douglas Barber Award for Speculative Fiction highlights a book of fiction with supernatural, fantastical, or futuristic elements published primarily for the trade or bookstore market. The nominees are Laxa Media Group, Seasons Between Us, Tales of Identities and Memories, edited by Susan Forrest and Lucas K. Law. Tyche Books, Tying the Knot, by E.C. Bell. Tyche Books, Water, Selkies, Sirens, and Sea Monsters, edited by Rhonda Parrish. With a high entertainment value, the winning title represents an innovative and well-curated collection. The ways of communicating the theme were varied, branching from humor to horror, but the editor was still able to successfully establish a consistent style among the pieces. The winner of the Douglas Barber Award for Speculative Fiction is Water, edited by Rhonda Parrish and published by Tyche Books. Congratulations. Margaret Curlis of Tyche Books is not here to accept the award, but we will accept it on her behalf. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce Luciana Oreje Saki. And I know that this is truly an introduction for Luciana. She's with Libertino Press, and this is actually her first in-person gala. And she's going to present the Robert Croce Award for Poetry.
Hello, everyone. I'm not as tall as the people from Brush, sorry. Understatement, okay. So, Robert Croce Award for Poetry. The Robert Croce Award for Poetry is awarded to a book of poetry published primarily for the trade or bookstore market and is named in honor of Robert Croce, Order of Canada recipient in 2004. Widely recognized as one of Canada's foremost innovative writers, Croce articulated a postmodern experimental vision of Canadian literature in 9 novels and 14 collections of poetry. The nominees are Frontenac House, A Selected History of Soul Speak by Andrea Thompson. Frontenac House, Bear Men Descend Upon Gimli by D.A. Lockhart. Frontenac House, Tell the Birds Your Body's Not a Gun by Ryan Haynes. University of Alberta Press, The Bad Wife by Micheline Mailer. With a strong, passionate voice, the winning title approaches a familiar topic and expresses in it poetically interesting ways, demonstrating a novel way of communicating the content of the work. The literary prowess of the author shines through the prose, and the publisher's production, editing, and design elements support but do not overwhelm the poems. Congratulations to University of Alberta Press for The Bad Wife by Micheline Mailer.
Doug!
Firstly, I'd just like to thank Micheline Mailer, of course, for writing such a wonderful book of poetry. From early on, Micheline described this book as a first-hand account of how to ruin a marriage. It was hard not to be hooked after that. A clear and provocative premise. It's a dark and funny book, and I'm immensely grateful to Micheline for allowing us to give it a publishing home. I just want to thank the BPA and judges, acquiring editor Michelle Lobkowitz, copy editor and proofreader Alice Major, designer Alan Brownoff, cover artist Anna Wyatt, printer Houghton Boston, the anonymous readers, and all our funders. Thank you. And the University of Alberta Press team.
Doug just stole my thank you list, except for me thanking him for being a wonderful and amazing publisher. And I also want to thank every other person in this category, D.A. Lockhart, Rand Haynes, and of course Andrea Thompson, because I was their editor. And no matter what happened, this category was just gonna be crazy. And thank you.
Now, this is something else that we forgot, something that's different from being taped. When you're live, you have to have Kleenex up here at the podium. So we forgot that this year. So next, I'd like to call upon Faye Bohr from Folklore Publishing to please come up and present the Graphic Novel of the Year Award.
Okay, Graphic Novel of the Year. The Graphic Novel of the Year category is open to graphic novels of any genre, whether that be fiction, nonfiction, or educational. Jurors evaluated the quality of storytelling, artistic excellence, and promotional activity of each nominee. The nominees are Renegade Arts Entertainment, Genghis Khan, by Sung Oliver Ho, Daniel Reynolds, and illustrated by Chris Peterson and Ruth Redmond. Renegade Arts Entertainment, Hell's Flaw, by Laverne Kidzerski, illustrated by John Bolton. And again, Renegade Arts Entertainment, Pass Me By, Electric Vice, by Kat Simmers and Ryan Danny Owen, illustrated by Kat Simmers. The jury had a tough decision this year and would like to commend Renegade Arts Entertainment for their impressive contribution to the literary landscape of Alberta. Still, the winner stood out, striking a powerful emotional chord with sensitivity and depth. Every design and production detail was deliberate and contributed to the impact and effectiveness of the story, creating an ambitious and successful package. And the winner is Pass Me By Electric Vice. By Kat Simmers and Ryan Danny Owen, published by Renegade Arts. Congratulations. Unfortunately, Alexander Finbow of Renegade Arts is not here to accept the awards, but we'll accept it on his behalf. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call upon Laurie Rennie of Marquis to present our next award, the Children's and Young Adult Book of the Year Award. And a special thank you goes to Marquis for sponsoring this award.
The Children's and Young Adult Book of the Year Award is presented to a book of any genre, as long as it's geared toward children and young adults. The nominees are assessed based on creativity, novelty, and quality. Well suited for its intended audience, the winning title's lyrical text and evocative illustrations create a beautiful package. The blend of colors in the illustrations showcase an authentic tribute to the wide-open blue sky of Alberta and elicit an emotional response from the reader. As the jurors remarked, this is the perfect book to bring Alberta to children everywhere. Congratulations to Red Barn Books for Alberta Blue by Pat Hatherley, the 2022 Children's and Young Adult Book of the Year Award. Please welcome Aisha Clough, publisher of Red Barn Books.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh my goodness, wow. I can't tell you how much this award means to me, especially as I'm nowhere close to break even. So if anyone wants to place an order for 2,500 books, I'd be more than happy. Well, the goal with this book was really to have a children's book, an unofficial lullaby for every Alberta child, because I want them to know how blessed they are to grow up, not just in Canada, but in Alberta, where the Rockies meet the prairies, and to never take that for granted. So hopefully this will become the new goodnight moon for parents in Alberta. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to accept this award on behalf of Pat and Jesse. Thank you.
So now we'll be presenting the Scholarly and Academic Book of the Year Award. And please welcome Lorene Shiba of Derville and Uproot Books to present the award.
What a great sight to see so many of us here tonight. The nominees of the Scholarly and Academic Book of the Year Award are published for the post-secondary, postgraduate, or other academic or scholarly markets. Titles are judged on the content, design, and production quality. The nominees are University of Alberta Press, Appealing Because He's Appalling, Black Masculinities, Colonialism, and Erotic Racism, edited by Tamari Katosa. University of Alberta Press, Indigenous Women and Street Gangs, Survivance Narratives by Amber, Bev, Chantal, Jasmine, Faith, Georgina, and Robert Henry. Athabasca University Press, Regime of Obstruction, How Corporate Power Blocks Energy Democracy, edited by William K. Carroll. Difficult to achieve in an edited collection, the winning title had a continuous narrative arc representative of a discerning editorial hand. The quality of the writing was consistently strong, and the urgency and relevance of this title speak to the publisher's awareness of the market. Congratulations to the Scholarly and Academic Book of the Year, Regime of Obstruction, edited by William K. Carroll and published by Athabasca University Press. Megan Hall, Director of Athabasca University Press, will be accepting.
Thank you very much. I'm always a little surprised when that happens with it's actually a book we're really proud of. It was Bill Carroll and his team received a very large grant from the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council to do this important work and tell this complicated story about how our own efforts to address this challenge have been thwarted in ways that you could hardly imagine. So, beautiful cover by Marvin Harder, who always takes a really complicated concept and turns it into something attractive and marketable. Wonderful work by Karen Whistling on bringing this to its specific public. We had an amazing launch that reached hundreds of people, and we've had a wonderful editor to work with, as well as fantastic contributors that brought it to their specific audiences as well. There are wonderful books by University of Alberta Press in this list, in the short list, so we're absolutely pleased to have this book recognized, but know that there's wonderful work being done across this group of publishers in this province. So thank you so much.
Before we move on to our next Book of the Year award, I would like to welcome Nisha Patel to the stage. Nisha is a former Poet Laureate of Edmonton and a Canadian Individual Poetry Slam champion. For her appearance here tonight, Nisha wrote an original piece of poetry titled The Little Big Ones. And she describes her poem this way. She says, In this poem, we follow the journey of a little idea that turns into something more. Publishing can be transformational and transgressive, even emancipatory, and this poem seeks to emphasize these values and the importance of upholding them as the literary landscape continues to shift and change. Nisha, welcome.
I don't know if you took a look at my shoes when I came up. The store left the security tag on the right one. So if you hear some alarms going off today, it's probably me. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for having me and for inviting me to share poetry in an audience that isn't my living room, where I have been working, living, and going to school for the last 3 years. And I was very excited to take on this commission, not just because I like writing poetry and I like being paid to write poetry, but also just because it's such a welcome change to know the community you're writing within and then also get to share words with them too. What is it that weeps when it's underwater, burrows past the earth's core when buried, travels time when the wind turns, and lives forever when you set it on fire? What holds itself solid when sitting in palm, renders itself liquid upon Caesar's breast, hides in the mist of the cemetery on full moon, and strikes lightning when the child is born? What multiplies past reason if left unchecked, and still leaves you wanting more? What attracts hope and repels hopelessness through scent alone? What's there when you want to run away and when you want to come back home? How much does the sound of the page turning matter when it matters that someone in this world of a room believed in you? And so I've heard it said, that story takes the shape of whatever container it's in. And so a single tale can fill the room freely without pause. And so I've heard it said that anyone can split themselves open at any age, trade their vertebrae for binding, spine for spine, to find and uncover their voice, a likely story. And if I am worth my weight in good books, then make sure when I die, I am reincarnated with my publisher. Scatter me across 542 bookstores around the planet. Plan to give me a 10 or 12% cut. Cut me in advance so good I'll brag to someone more famous about it. And if I am a book, give me a home in an off-white and serif font. Take me to the beach at the end of the ocean. Leave me by the fireplace next to the slippers. Loan me to a friend who keeps me and lies about it. Kiss me from cover to cover. Read me like a 2 a.m. text message or text someone about me at 2 a.m. And when you pick me up on pub day, go back in time to when I sprung like a goldfish from your slush pile. Know that the oldest trick in the book isn't to play dead, but to tell a story worth binding and bookmarking and feeding to the worms from which we shall return. Each mouthful of words, a little big way to change the world. What holds itself solid when sitting in palm, renders itself liquid upon Caesar's breast, hides in the mist of the cemetery on full moon, and strikes lightning when the child is born. What book makes you weep until you feel like you're treading water or burrowing past apocalypse into a heated earth's core seeking shelter? What book lets you travel like pigeon or hero through time on the back of the wind? And tell me, what book is it that lives forever when you set it on fire? Thank you.
Okay. Next year, we need Kleenex up here for when I start crying. Wow, that was so beautiful, Nisha. Thank you. So our next award is for Trade Fiction Book of the Year. And please welcome Kathy Crooks of University of Alberta Press to present the award.
The Trade Fiction Book of the Year award recognizes a book of fiction published primarily for the trade or bookstore market, which demonstrates innovation of content, high-quality text, and excellence in production. The nominees are New West Press, A Brief View from the Coastal Suite by Karen Hoffman, University of Calgary Press, Happy Sands by Barb Howard, Freehand Books, The Prairie Chicken Dance Tour by Dawn Dumont, University of Calgary Press, Unlocking by Amy LeBlanc. The winning title is an engaging novel that encourages readers to laugh out loud. The publisher expertly supported this book through a mix of print and digital marketing, and the vibrancy of the book cover design and interior design elements successfully complement the plot. The Trade Fiction Book of the Year award goes to The Prairie Chicken Dance Tour by Dawn Dumont, published by Freehand Books. Congratulations. Please welcome Kelsey Attard, Managing Editor of Freehand Books, to accept the award.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you to the BPA and the jury for this award. The Prairie Chicken Dance Tour is a really wonderful book. It's a genuine delight to read. A zany road trip comedy about an Indigenous dance troupe touring through Europe in the 1970s. And the way that it uses humor to address racism, the legacy of residential schools, and other challenging topics is simply remarkable. And it's also absolutely hilarious, and it's also shortlisted for the Laycock Award, which is going to be presented tomorrow, so fingers crossed. Just a few thank yous. I wanted to thank Deborah Willis, who acquired and edited this book for freehand, to Natalie Olson for her lovely and thoughtful cover design, to Freehand's owner, Glenn Rollins, for supporting Canadian literature and Canadian authors, and to Dawn Dumont for writing this novel and sharing her voice with us. Some of you have been following, may have been following Dawn's story over the past months, and thank you so much for your concern and your support. The Prairie Chicken Dance Tour is a book that we're very proud to champion and a voice that we need. So thank you so much for the recognition.
Now I'd like to call upon Terry Davies from Frontenac House to present the Trade Nonfiction Book of the Year Award.
The Trade Nonfiction Book of the Year is presented to a book of nonfiction published primarily for the trade or bookstore market. A special thank you goes to Houghton Boston Printers for sponsoring this category. And the nominees are Athabasca University Press, Bucking Conservatism, Alternative Stories of Alberta from the 1960s and 1970s, edited by Leon Crane-Bear, Larry Hannant, and Carissa Robin Patton. University of Alberta Press, Impact, Women Writing After Concussion, edited by E.D. Morin and Jane Cawthorne. Freehand Books, Big Reader, by Susan Olding. University of Alberta Press, On Foot to Canterbury, A Son's Pilgrimage, by Ken Haig. Freehand Books, This Strange Visible Air, Essays on Aging and the Writing Life, by Sharon Butella. The careful curation and strong design and production choices of the winning title made it stand out among the rest on the shortlist. It is clear that the editors took a great deal of consideration when selecting pieces, as the final narrative provides a wholesome and impactful depiction of the author's multifaceted experiences. The trade nonfiction book of the year is Impact, Women Writing After Concussion, edited by Edie Morin and Jane Cawthorne, published by the University of Alberta Press. Congratulations. And accepting the award is Douglas Hildebrand, Director and Publisher of the University of Alberta Press.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, firstly, thank you to Elaine and her co-editor, Jane Cawthorne, and all of the contributors to the book. It's what an achievement, and all the women who contributed to this book. Brava to all of them. All of us at the press were delighted to have played a part in seeing it into the world. Just quickly, thanks again to the BPAA and the judges of this category, acquiring editor Michelle Logkowitz, copy editor Kimmy Beach, proofreader Maya Fowler-Sutherland, designer Alan Brownoff, printer Houghton Boston, all the anonymous peer reviewers, our funders. Also want to thank all the press team, Kathy, Matt, Michelle, Alan, Duncan, Alicia, Keely, Alex, Jide, members of the press committee, our editorial board, colleagues from the U of A's library museums portfolio, and everyone across campus. But especially to Elaine.
I just wanted to say a special thank you to Matt Bunton for believing in us at the beginning when he first saw the book, and then for Michelle taking it on, and the whole team was just amazing. That's it. Thanks.
Our next award is for Regional Book of the Year, which recognizes the important role that book publishers play every day in telling Alberta's story. Kelsey Attard of Freehand Books will present this award.
The Regional Book of the Year award is presented to a title of any genre that celebrates, exemplifies, or offers a unique perspective on Alberta. The jury assessed the innovation of content, quality of text, excellence of design, and promotional activity of each submission. The nominees are Athabasca University Press for Bucking Conservatism, edited by Leon Crane Bear, Larry Hannant, and Carissa Robin Patton. New West Press for Coconut by Nisha Patel. University of Calgary Press, Sustainability Matters, Prospects for a Just Transition in Calgary, Canada's Petro City, by Noel Keogh with Jeff Gitter. All of the books on the shortlist represent different perspectives on the culture and priorities of Albertans and showcase the diversity of titles published by Alberta Book Publishers. Still, the winning title stands out as a solid combination of academic writing and memoir about a time of transition in Alberta's political and societal landscapes. The Regional Book of the Year is Bucking Conservatism, published by Athabasca University Press. And accepting the award is Megan Hall, Director of Athabasca.
You know, it's that kind of book that comes to you and you see in the book a reflection of the place that you actually live. So often I feel a bit of a fish out of water in Alberta as a, I'm from Saskatchewan, I have to admit. So, and so when we saw these stories and we heard this version of the province that we know, and I didn't grow up in the 60s and 70s, but there must be the legacy of these people and these experiences in my version of Alberta. So we're really proud of this collection. The editors are a wonderful mixture of senior scholars, emerging scholars, Indigenous scholars coming together to tell that full story about our province. I neglected to mention Pamela Holloway in my last thank you for Regime of Obstruction, and she was also the acquiring editor on this project. And if you've ever met Pamela, you will know that she will infuriate you, and she will challenge you, and she will make the best book out of the material that comes to us. So super proud whenever her books are recognized. Thank you.
We now present our design categories, which include book cover design, book illustration, and book design. Please welcome Donovan Bergman from Friesens to present the Book Cover Design Award. And a special thank you goes to Friesens for sponsoring this award and for their generous support of the BPAA every year.
The Book Cover Design Award is adjudicated only on the book cover or jacket, and jurors assess it based primarily on innovation, quality, and artistic merit. The nominees are University of Alberta Press, Deriving by Jennifer Bowering-Delisle, book cover design by Alan Brownoff. University of Alberta Press, Impact, Women Writing After Concussion, edited by E.D. Morin and Jane Cawthorne, book cover design by Alan Brownoff. New West Press, Last Tide by Andy Zuliani, book cover design by Kate Hargreaves of Chorus Kate Design. Athabasca University Press, Plastic Legacies, Pollution, Persistence, and Politics, edited by Tricia Fairley, Cy Taffel, and Ian Shaw, book cover design by Derek Thornton. Freehand Books, The Party Is Here, by Georgina Beattie, book cover design by Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design. With a strong, fully considered design, it is clear a great level of attention was paid to the cover design of the winning title. The illustration is fresh and fun, providing an intriguing backdrop for the excellent typography. The jury particularly enjoyed the clever replacement of the A's in the author's name with the mountaintops in the illustration. The winning title is The Party Is Here by Georgina Beattie. Cover design by Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design. Congratulations. Accepting the award is Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design.
Thank you. A special thank you to Freehand. I think we've been making books together for about 15 years at this point, and I'm very grateful for the ongoing relationship, and I hope that we get to make a lot more awesome books together. And this one especially you should add to your read list. I think it's a really excellent collection of short stories. Everyone knows short stories are my favorite, and yeah, go pick it up.
Next up, we have book illustration presented by Douglas Hildebrand of University of Alberta Press.
Book Illustration Award is judged on illustrations including drawings, paintings, photography, and other artwork. The nominees are Red Barn Books for Alberta Blue by Pat Hatherley, illustrated by Jesse Horn. Renegade Arts Media Entertainment, Pass Me By, Electric Vice by Kat Simmers and Ryan Downey Owen, illustrated by Kat Simmers. Derville and Uproot Books, The River Troll, A Story About Love, written and illustrated by Rich Theroux. The illustrations in the winning title are evocative, appearing to vibrate on the page with movement and depth. Each illustration acts as a little artwork, but they complement each other perfectly when put together. The expression and magic showcased in these illustrations are very difficult to portray, and the jury applauded the illustrator for their successful execution. Congratulations to Derville and Uproot Books for The River Troll, A Story About Love, written and illustrated by Rich Theroux. Accepting the award is Laureen Sheba, publisher of Derville and Uproot Books.
I'm so proud of Rich Theroux. If you guys know Rich, he's a Calgary legend. I mean, Wakefield will know Rich Theroux. I spent a lot of time in post-secondary. I taught, in every corner of Calgary, and plus a lot of other places in the country and abroad. And when I was teaching at Mount Royal College, there was a kid in the class who would not take his eyes off his computer. I would it was a visual communications class, I think. And, you know, this kid, I better walk around to the back of the room to see what he's doing. And it was in the days when the computer labs were really loud. You know, it was these PCs with crazy fans, and I had a little headset that I would have to speak to just even a small class. So I walked around the back, and that moment changed my life when I saw what that kid was doing on his computer screen. So Rich Tayru has been my illustrator of choice for just about every project where I needed a huge infusion of illustrative energy. So it's not to say that I'm the creator of Rich Tayru or anything, but his book of the River Troll is so damn beautiful. And it's about Calgary. It takes place right here downtown. And there's this hairy monster of a beast who resides down by the river. But he opens up his hand and he says to this itinerant traveler who's, you know, coming down to the river to kind of flagellate himself. This kid's a teacher, right? He goes down to the river, he meets the troll, and the troll has his hand out. And he says, "You don't know anything about love." Because here in his hand is this butterfly, this moth. And the moth flies away. And the teacher says, "Okay, well, what's the lesson?" And the troll just sits there. And he says, "You have to wait for that moth to come back." So I really hope that you at least look at the website for the River Troll, because we go beyond the book with the River Troll. It's animation. And there's a lot of really interesting movement that comes out of it. So check out the animation, at least. I'm so pleased for Rich, and I'm so sorry I didn't drag him down here. Thank you so much.
Final category, final design category, book design is next, and I'd like to call upon Netta Johnson from Stonehouse Publishing to present the award.
The Book Design Award is given to the book with the best overall design inside and out. Specifically, books are judged based on their creative approach to the execution of design, their ability to link design elements to the intended audience, and their production values that exceed industry standards. The nominees are New West Press, Coconut by Nisha Patel, designed by Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design. Freehand Books, Great Adventures for the Faint of Heart by Carrie Fagan, designed by Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design. University of Alberta Press, On Foot to Canterbury, A Son's Pilgrimage by Ken High, designed by Alan Branoff. And New West Press, Rump and Flank by Carol Harvey Stesky, designed by Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design. And University of Alberta Press, Situating Design in Alberta, edited by Isabel Prochner and Tom Antoniuk, designed by Alan Branoff. Faced with such a strong pool of entries, the jury had difficulty selecting the winner for this award. While all the titles on the shortlist can be commended, after much debate, the jury decided to award 2 titles for this year, representing 2 very different genres. First off, we have a scholarly title, which is remarkable due to the careful attention paid to the design of every detail within the book. All the complex elements were brought together beautifully, and this contributes to a superb reading experience. Strong in a different way, the other winner is a poetry collection with a seemingly simple design that is more than what meets the eye. The repetition and layering of the amethyst-colored coconut husk shapes is hypnotic and especially pairs well with the vibrating candy red color of the text. The winners of the Book Design Awards are University of Alberta Press, On Foot to Canterbury by Ken High, designed by Alan Branoff and New West Press's Coconut by Nisha Patel, designed by Natalie Olson of Kiss Cut Design. Congratulations to both of these designers and publishers. Accepting the awards are Douglas Hildebrand, Director of University of Alberta Press, and Matt Bose, General Manager of New West Press.
Well, I'll just accept this award on behalf of Alan Brownoff. He couldn't be here tonight. He's actually just recovering from a surgery, but we're thinking about him and wishing him all the best. Also like to thank the cover artist, Liz Somerville, and of course, the BPAA and all the judges. Thank you.
All right. I mean, who could it be but Natalie? Just an artist at the top of her game who is able to figure out something that works perfectly. It matches Nisha. Yeah. It's so difficult to take poetry and move it from just words and lyrics and coalesce it into images that are so vibrant and that make you want to pick it up off the shelf. And Natalie's the best at it. So thank you, Natalie, and thank you, Nisha, for writing it. Good job. And thanks to Jenna Butler as well for editing it. It's always a pleasure to work with Jenna. So thank you very much, and thank you to the BPA and the jury.
I think that's the first time that we've ever had a tie, right? Yeah. Congratulations. It really just does go to show how hard the jurors deliberate over the submitted titles. Now we'll present the Industry Awards, which recognize the publishers and individuals who contribute to the growth of the Alberta book publishing industry. And first up is the Emerging Publisher of the Year Award, presented by Matt Bose of New West Press.
All right. So the Emerging Publisher of the Year Award is presented to an emerging Alberta book publishing company, which shows promise and dedication to book publishing, and who exemplifies the spirit of the Alberta book publishing community. It's a difficult undertaking to establish a publishing operation, but with clearly defined and admirable aims, the winning publisher has displayed a very promising beginning. Their carefully cultivated list of titles are compelling, and the high production speaks to the professionalism of this publishing house. We're excited to see this publisher grow and continue to contribute to the literary landscape of Alberta. Congratulations to the Emerging Publisher of the Year, Labyrinto Press. Accepting the award is Luciana Erige Saki, publisher Labyrinto.
Thank you. Thank you, the VPA. I jumped off the seat because Matt pronounced Labyrinto flawlessly. So thank you, Matt. Now, early in the morning, we discussed whether we were thinking with our hearts or with our frontal cortex. So I'm going to ask you guys which thank you want, the one from the heart or the one from the frontal cortex. I have both. So pick one. Heart? OK. So I'm going to be thanking the BPAA, of course, the jury, my wonderful family, the literary community of Edmonton and Alberta, without whom I could have never thought of becoming a publisher, and the embroiderer from Herberts, Argentina, my grandmother, Juana Laburo. Here I am, and also the first word, delicate. Never saw her as delicate. Only the filaments she teased from the wrought iron gates in Park Monceau, weaving the barbed wire hovering over the pampas, nightly lashings of celadon and gold, satin stitch, back stitch, cross stitch, split stitch, broke, the ghostliest linen sent from Buenos Aires all the way to Branson, my hometown, where she lived. Before I returned the remaining thread to Paris, her final suture I spell. Long threads you must avoid. They tangle like lazy thoughts. Stitch 2 moments with words, then pull hard. Thank you.
Wow, some fine writing here tonight. Our final award of the evening is for the Lifetime Achievement in Publishing. And there are so many people that contribute to a thriving Alberta book publishing community. But tonight we would like to acknowledge one individual's contribution in particular. Please welcome Glenn Rollins from Brush Education to present the Lifetime Achievement in Publishing Award.
So I'm very honored tonight and very glad to present the Lifetime Achievement in Publishing Award to Carol Holmes. I know how much Carol's work has meant to Alberta publishers and the whole literary community here in Alberta and beyond. I've known Carol since 1997, when I took on the role of director of the Banff Publishing Program. And by that time, I'd been a student at Banff at least 3 times and knew what a life-changing place it could be. Carol had started at the Banff Centre in 1989, and by the time I came on board, the Centre's writing and publishing programs had come under her wing. This included everything I was doing, plus the Banff Centre Press, the prestigious Layton Studios, the many residencies and studios for authors, and other workshops in the literary arts. I was working then as a university press director, and I often felt overloaded by the need I had in my Banff role to find presenters, to find budget, to recruit participants, and to do that for each of the sessions I was running. Carol did that for everything she was running, and had a skeleton staff most of the time, so her hands were full, and she and her always minimal staff on top of that dealt with the center itself on approvals, accommodations, teaching space, banquets, on and on. As the center's priorities shifted, she shoehorned publishing and writing programs into its increasingly crowded conference schedule and championed above all the interests of artists. She made sure that publishers held artist status when they came to the center, which was a very significant thing, I think, in our practice, our professional practice, but also significant in the way that it made things affordable for us as participants in those programs. Carol's work at the Banff Centre also went far beyond her work with us at the BPAA. She built relationships across many communities. Early in her tenure there, for example, she collaborated in establishing an Indigenous cultural space, and she followed up on that by organizing the Emerging Aboriginal Writers Program. In keeping with the Centre's dedication in those years to being a world leader, she reached beyond Alberta to national and international participants, and for example, organized the first international literary translation program in the Americas. In those years, the BPAA worked very closely with Carol to cite most this is a familiar story to most publishers here, because I repeat it over and over, but the BPAA worked to cite most of its AGMs and professional development programs at the Centre, and despite the many complications with working with a bunch of A-type people like publishers, she set the stage for relaxing and still exciting sessions on that magic mountain. We were wonderfully comfortable under her wing, surrounded by beauty, ready to let our minds wander on big ideas. And as a result, BPAA programs were popular with visiting speakers from across the continent, sometimes from around the world. And whatever headaches we caused her, Carol made sure that our programs at Banff were a perk for everyone who attended. After 2 decades at Banff, Carol moved to Edmonton in 2008 to become executive director of the Writers Guild of Alberta. There, she continued in her cheerful and supremely confident way and competent way to support approximately 1,000 guild members from all over the province in creating work and bringing it to readers. She continued to strengthen relationships now between the WGA and the BPAA. That led to projects like the traveling book display, publicizing Alberta books in libraries across the province, and the Writing Stick Conference of June 2017, which was really a landmark step in the continuing journey towards amplifying Indigenous voices in the Canadian writing and publishing worlds. One of Carol's greatest gifts is her openness to ideas and innovation that's been vital over recent decades as the world of writing and publishing has continued to change. When I worked with Carol at Banff, for example, I suggested a session on the rapidly developing world of digital design and composition, and Carol said yes. I suggested a session on the still nascent world of ebooks. She said yes. The BPAA suggested holding its AGM jointly with the ACP and the Literary Press Group for Triple the Trouble. Carol said yes. I suggested Canada's only program on the art and science of valuing publishing houses to enable succession. She said yes. And then I think maybe just to test her, I suggested a program where we would bring a dozen young publishing students from Guadalajara to Banff to really just sit and compare our experiences as publishers working on both sides of the American giant. So she said yes again. So I've never discovered Carol's limit. She's one of those people who says yes to possibilities and makes things happen. Sometimes things don't work out or the funding disappears. Sometimes a program has to fold. And in my experience at those moments, Carol folds her hands in front of her in sort of a pastoral gesture. If you know Carol, it's something like this or maybe like this. Those are two versions of the same expression. And she says, And then she moves on with a smile to Plan B, even if you didn't have a Plan B. For example, during her work with the Writers Guild on the Horizon Writers Circle, which started as a program for refugee writers, funders changed their focus, meaning the program needed to change and include a wider variety of voices. With her guidance, the team quickly rethought and renovated the program. Now it encourages emerging authors from all marginalized and underrepresented groups to join Alberta's literary community, and no doubt those are many of the writers that we as a group of professional publishers will publish in the future. The final attribute I'll mention is Carol's legendary equanimity. Her natural calm has been tested by years of working with complicated personalities and competing interests. I like the laughter at the complicated personalities part. That's a bit like saying it was unique to. But I've never seen her equanimity conquered. Writers and publishers aren't always the best of friends. Boards of directors need tending. Staff have struggles, staff have uncertainties. But Carol has the quiet capacity to combine people into teams and to create environments where their ideas and collaboration can flourish. She excels at finding the right people to make a project successful and at supporting without micromanaging. She knows how the pieces of the literary ecosystem fit together, and she doesn't get bogged down in divisive issues. Friends and colleagues use words like unflappable, practical, and creative. Those are in the program, but they're true to describe Carol. And they say that during her more than 30 years of working at the heart of our community of writers and publishers, the impact of her work has been life-changing for literally thousands of people. The echoes of her work will resonate throughout our province and the world for a very long time. So please join me in recognition of Carol's lasting impact in my pleasure to present this Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of all of us at the BPAA. Thank you, Carol.
You guys, that is so nice. Thank you very much. It's interesting standing here because listening to Glenn and the things that I apparently have done is remarkable, but also the wonderful opportunities I had. And I think I would say that over and over again. Some of the references made were a program that Luciana is currently running with the Borderlines Group. Many of them are still very current to me. And I've had a great privilege working with a number of people here in the room. So I'll start, and actually to go back to Glenn's comment, I think when I first worked at the Writers Guild, not at the Writers Guild, when I first worked at the Banff Centre, I was introduced to the BPAA And I knew, this was before I was actually involved with the writing programs, but I knew the BPA to be active volleyball players. I don't know how many of you remember that, but it seemed to be a key feature. But Glenn came on as director for the publishing programs, and he was really instrumental for me to learn a lot more about the publishing world. So thank you, Glenn. I also have other thanks to give. Well, first of all, to the BPAA, it's a remarkable honor to be recognized by this group, who I deeply respect, so thank you. I have people to thank. Glenn, who I mentioned, who introduced me to the world of publishing at the Banff Center. Kelsey Adherd, who was up earlier, who was the program coordinator at the Writers Guild of Alberta when I started, and then she moved on, and I hope not because of me, into the world of publishing, although I'm happy she went into the world of publishing, to Kieran LeBlanc, who we've worked together for 14 years now on collaborative programming between the Writers Guild and the book publishers. And enjoyed, I think would be one word, many late night conversations about many topics, but certainly during the period of the pandemic to discover out how we were working and what we were doing. Others, Kathy, Brooks, wherever you may be here, we worked together on the Writing Stick Conference. That list could go on and on and on. And I could mention to so many people in this room now, which is really something very heartfelt for me, for the number of projects we've worked on together. So I thank you, and I'm trying not to catch my breath here, but to say thank you all. It's been wonderful to work with you. I saw the catalog today for the 2020 book publications. Tremendous work. So thank you all. And thank you, Glenn.
What a beautiful tribute to Carol and her longstanding impact on Alberta's literary and publishing community. So now I would like to welcome back Wakefield Brewster for another and his final poetry performance.
Well, a round of applause for everyone who picked up an award here this evening. Congratulations to everyone, each and every one of you, one and all. I'd like to reintroduce myself as Wakefield Brewster, professional poet and spoken word artist, poet laureate of Calgary, Alberta, and I don't have a book. Let that sink in. I would also like to say I never thought that I could be a laureate. It comes down to believing in the possibility. And I see that the accomplishments made here today, people believed in themselves, in each other. They believed themselves, as strangers even. That belief is something that fuels accomplishment, helps make the world go round. And we're coming out of a very weird time. The last 3 years have been weird. And as we move into fall and things change, I suspect some weirdness will come back. But I want to say this. I feel that this poem, which has really worn out its welcome in some places, has been welcomed back by possibilities. I want you to take away not the trials and tribulations and the story of my schooling and what I had to go through and get through to get here. But I really want everyone to remember this. When you have decided to live a life of conviction, any decision, and for whatever reason, when you disclose it, the first thing you hear is, you can't. I really want us all to remember two things as we move forward with cautious optimism. When you hear that you can't, remember that you probably can, and that you probably should. The poem I'd like to present in closing is titled, I Can. After a decade of delivery on the NIC, unbelievably, people still asking me, what can you do with poetry? That question used to make me angry. It used to get me hot. Now I tell them have a seat and ask them how much time they got. For you see, with poetry, I can. duly danced down those same halls of learning where I once had the yearning to be a well-accomplished human with a 4.0. But my GPA was sadly way far below. I never got the knack of the educational flow. They made me sit still, so I stood still. I can confidently, comfortably cruise into classrooms where I was once coerced to create a captured, cornered mental state so I could clearly create a way to hate my own mind. By my educators, they were eduhators. They formed a form to form my formative years, tainted with intolerance and a tidal wave of tears that sailed all of my dreams away from me. For they likened my self-image with one of stupidity. It was all that I heard and all that I could see. I can now be free. Where I was once imprisoned by a mental prison, my errant splayed thoughts were like hot-colored rocks, endless ammunition for the slings of possibility, but impossibly, all of my targets eluded me. For I was living in the kingdom of couldn't be me. I couldn't see the lock, so I didn't need the key. And when they finally let me go, they said, "You don't know poetry." I can versify being victimized into a valiant victory. Verify that when you vilify, you eventually gotta deal with me. The transformation was tremendous. I took the word stupid and I made it stupendous. I began to manhandle the land of language that languished in apathetic and anonymous anguish. I did decide to dissect and divide, and definitely, indubitably, what diction was doing to me. Stab a psyche with a simile, sometimes it left of center seed so as to step off into a soliloquy. Ale the English alphabet with an oral atrocity. I can wear the face of mental agility, dispel the myth of dental fragility, and proudly embrace my so-called disability. ADD, ADHD, OCD, PTSD. Now I've made an aquanymphomaniac out of me, and never once before have I so ever loved an E. I can turn my inventive imagination into a physical infatuation, not like sugar, not the hard refined, not like sweetener, not the artificial kind. I don't need heroin because I'm a hero in my own mind. Spent some time with my mentality, and what I did find is I can learn. And poetry taught me when the truth is unfurled, I'm the only one man who can change my world, so I can do anything. What can I do with poetry? I ask you. Why don't you tell me?
Wow. You know, it's such a perfect day, really, wasn't it? We started the morning with Francis talking about achieving your dreams and the revision, and we end with Wakefield talking about his dreams. Is just a perfect coming of a full circle, and what a fantastic day. So congratulations to all the winners and the nominees. We wish each of our members continued success as they tell Alberta's story, and I am already looking forward to next year's awards. So we'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our funders who continually support the work of the Book Publishers Association of Alberta, Department of Canadian Heritage through the Canada Book Fund, Canada Council for the Arts, Government of Alberta through the Ministry of Alberta Culture and Status of Women and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, City of Edmonton and the Edmonton Arts Council, City of Calgary and Calgary Arts Development, and Access Copyright Foundation. In addition to our funders, we would like to recognize the sponsors who have made this year's awards possible, Friesens, Marquis, and Houghton, Boston. And thank you as well to the jurors who committed a significant amount of time to carefully review, critique, and choose the short list and winners for each category. And we would also like to acknowledge the staff at the BPAA. The hours and hours. Without them, I mean, the work behind the scenes, they've made this event possible. Thank you too to the Hotel Arts for hosting us and providing terrific food and drinks. That concludes our program for tonight. Please feel free to linger as the room and the bar will remain open. And thank you so much for allowing me to host this evening.